Hello YouTube, this is Morgan Airspeed Prime here with my next Avatar news update video. So we've got some very interesting publishing stuff to talk about here. As you can see here, we have the cover for Light It Up, the upcoming kind of kids middle grade novel. We also have the first information on some of the tie-in books that we're going to see to accompany the release of The Legend of Aang, The Last Airbender, the movie next year. And some preview pages for the new Avatar baking book as well. So all publishing, but a lot of different stuff, including stuff we've been waiting for. So yeah, we've been waiting a long time to see just any sort of visual for Light It Up, which is Avatar Legends Bending Academy Fire #1. Now, I've talked about this in a bunch of videos. I don't get the impression that like this has maybe impacted the fandom all that much, because I think a lot of people, until they see the cover and get more of a sense for what it is, just don't really know what it is. But again, yeah, this is this kids chapter book, middle grade book. It's 144 pages. It is going to be a full-on text novel. It's not an adult novel, it's not a YA novel, it's a middle grade novel. So $10.99, it's going to be a small hardcover book coming out November 18th, 2025. Now, Light It Up is the specific name for Fire #1. So it's Avatar Legends Bending Academy. All of these books are going to be Bending Academy. But what's going to change is that there will be, I guess, Fire #2, 3 perhaps, but also the element can change, because the original description, this one's about a fire bending academy, but the original description before we got the full details mentioned like an earth academy initially. So Bending Academy Earth is absolutely on the table, and I guess air and water, because Avatar Legends basically means that they can do any era. That basically means the entire franchise is open. So we don't actually know what era this specific book is set in, because as you can see from the cover and from the description, which we've had for quite a while, this is about completely new characters. 4 young firebenders entered their island's regional firebending tournament. Original chapter book series taking place in the world of Avatar The Last Airbender. The main character here is Adaki, and then there are 3 other characters, as you can see, that are also here. 11 years old, trying to prove himself for the first time, and it's going to be these younger kids entering a tournament against older kids, where they get trained by the best firebending master on the island. Seems like a very cool idea for a story. So it's not just that like it's new content, this actually seems kind of new, adventurous, because typically the Penguin Random House stuff is ATLA, it's all recap, it's all original series. This is really kind of out of left field from what they typically do. So I'm actually quite excited for this, because it is over 100 pages of new content here, and it's the first of like multiple coming in a series. Let's take a closer look at the image. It is a very small image. This is it blown up 200%. I haven't found it anywhere else at higher quality, because I think it's just gone up. But here it is. So red background, fitting for fire. I guess that's the way they're going to do it. They'll just use the classic element colors and change it as they go. Avatar Legends logo, of course. Bending Academy Fire #1 makes sense. Light It Up is what Fire #1 is called. Pretty fitting title. And then yeah, really cool here. The characters kind of in a kind of hero shot, jumping through this kind of ring of fire on the cover. And yeah, it looks like we have the breakdown of I guess kind of like 2 girls, 2 boys kind of type thing. I'm guessing the character directly firebending down here, kind of most kind of central focus on the cover, this is perhaps Adaki, maybe. But still, very cool. All the characters look very unique, you know, basically all have different kind of hair colors. There's a variation in kind of like skin tone as well with the characters. So it's going to be interesting to see what's kind of going on here, because like it's a regional tournament, but it's from like on a fire island. So the fire islands can be quite like different from each other, in that some of them maybe have a little bit of an earthbending kind of sway to it. So, you know, there's that idea, especially in some of the more kind of recent eras. And yeah, even just the clothing, you can see like more kind of like pink, which we've seen people wear a bit pinks in the Fire Nation before, but like the green with red is interesting. The clothing that Adaki is wearing feels like a little bit different. This character here seems more kind of classic, kind of martial artist kind of type thing. So there's going to be like this kind of blend of styles here, which I think is kind of interesting, depending on kind of what exactly is going on. Like, are these all from the same island, or is it actually that they're all from different places, and all the younger kids just kind of pair up as like a team in the tournament? It's going to be just, I think, interesting, just because it's all new original content that I'm going to review, of course, and I think it could be quite good. So yeah, in the comments straight away, definitely let me know. Are you now more excited for Bending Academy Fire, another novel coming out in the year, bringing the total up to 3? Again, we are getting 3 novels this year. So in July, City of Echoes, the Jin novel. In October, Awakening of Roku Book 2. And this as well. Yes, it is a kid's novel, but it's still a novel. So pretty exciting stuff there. Then we'll move into some other stuff here. And again, I think there's going to be illustrations in this. This is the Edelweiss listing. It does mention it's a new illustrated chapter book. I think at the very least there will be a few insert pages with art for these characters, which is another thing that could make it quite good. Like, to really attach onto them, getting those official designs like immediately is super nice to see. But we'll move on to the Aang movie tie-in stuff, which is actually from a really interesting thing. It's just, you go to Edelweiss, you go to the I Am Sokka listing. So again, that is a Little Golden Book. It is a Random House book. We go in here, and at the bottom of summary, you have this little section here. The rest of it's not super important. This is their 5th Avatar Little Golden Book, because there's these 4 before it. The Spring 2026 Avatar movie program includes a junior novel, an 8x8, an SIOR, a Little Golden Book, and a full-color sticker book. We will also be publishing 2 non-movie tie-in Avatar titles in Spring 26. I Am Sokka, Little Golden Book, and Book 2 in the Avatar Legends Bending Academy chapter book series. So that's the sequel to this, is coming in spring 2026. Now, by spring 2026, of course, this is the listing for I Am Sokka, and they're mentioning I Am Sokka here. This book is out 6th of January. Now, obviously, the movie previously had a date of 30th of January, which is what this is still going off. So you can tell that this is a little bit out of date, or at least was written a while ago, attached to this listing, and they haven't changed it since. Again, remember, the movie is out October 2026, Legend of Aang, The Last Airbender. So straight away, what you have to take away from this is that when it says spring 2026, actually that's going to change to like fall 2026, and all this tie-in stuff is actually going to come out in October alongside the movie, as far as we're aware. So just keep that in mind. That's what happens here. You'll notice if you go through a lot of the key selling points on these Avatar books, they do have information that by the time the listing goes up is out of date by at least a couple of months. It's just the way it works for whatever reason. But yeah, straight away we get this idea that these 2 books are not movie tie-ins. They are separate from these books, which are movie tie-ins, which are part of their Avatar movie program. So what we're going to get for The Legend of Aang, The Last Airbender is a junior novel, an 8x8. Now, what an 8x8 is that's referring to the dimensions of the book. That means it's going to be an 8x8 inch square picture book for Avatar. An SIOR is a step into reading book, which is a typical type of book that Random House do, where it's going to be, learning how to read type thing. A Little Golden Book, which again is interesting because I Am Sokka is a Little Golden Book, but that's a specific series about the ATLA characters. This one, like, not all the Little Golden Books are called like I Am something or other. So that could just be a more general book about the movie. It could choose to be focused on a character, but I think it'll be a little bit broader than that. But I do think these 3 books here, the 8x8, the Step into Reading, and the Little Golden Book, are all going to be very similar types of book, with different blends of, like, one will have more art, one will have a little bit more text, but they all still will have a relatively low page count, as we'll get into in just a second. And there's also a full color sticker book. Now, to just give you an example of this, the TMNT is also under Paramount, just like Avatar is now. And TMNT is kind of doing the same thing just ahead of Avatar, where they're really trying to push it as like one of their big franchises. And they had a movie, an animated movie that came out 2 years ago, Mutant Mayhem, where they had basically the exact same lineup of books. So let's go through what TMNT did with their books of the same type. So they had the Mutant Mayhem Junior novelization. Paperback, $7.99. It came out, all these books came out on basically the same day, June 27, 2023. This is a 144-page junior novelization, which I think is basically what the Aang movie novelization is going to be. Again, if you look at, say, like the preview pages that we get for this, you can sort of see that, like, okay, there you go. It's fun, more kind of artistic way of doing a kind of novel. Not a ton of pages, text on the opening page, but it's still, there's going to be a decent amount of text in the book still, so that's interesting. This is definitely going to be the most interesting kind of one in all of this, where a lot of the other books is you're probably going to be more interested in it for the art or to give to a kid who's also going to see the movie. Whereas for hardcore fans, the junior novelization might be the only one that really has any real impact, because even though it's, again, still for kids, it will still be the movie presented in novel format, and that just opens the door to some descriptions, maybe adding some information or context that we maybe didn't get from the movie, which could be interesting. The 8x8 is going to be like this, so you can see it's going to be a square book. You can see here it's listed as only 24 pages, so these books are going to be quite short, mainly focused on the presentation of like big pieces of art. This one, as you can see here, is called The Making of a Ninja, so it's kind of more highlighting the training of the turtles, because you can see here it starts off with them very young, younger than they are for most of that movie, and you can see there's a decent amount of text on the page, but it is really focused on kind of big pieces of art, so that's presenting it in a kind of specific style of things. So it's like they could do that, definitely. Like it would be interesting if they did like an Aang kind of version of this book where they go through the ATLA characters almost like through the eras or something like that, where they're like, oh yeah, this is Sokka as he was as you saw him in the series, but this is older Sokka now. That could be a way of doing it here, just kind of highlighting that just as a unique kind of type thing. I think it all is for these kids books for Avatar. It's probably going to be fairly basic information, like it's only 24 pages, what can you do? The art is again going to be the highlight. Like with the I Am books, the art is going to be everything basically. So that's the 8x8. The Step Into Reading book, as you can see here, this is like a level 2 Step Into Reading book, Meet the Mutants. So you can see the way they go with this one is more of like character introduction. Now the preview pages aren't great here, where you only get one, but you can see straight away here, the first page of the book. Baxter Stockman is a scientist. There's 5 words on this page. That's it. And I'm assuming it stays like that for the entire book. Whereas, of course, the 8x8 had a whole paragraph on each page, and the Little Golden Books have maybe like halfway in between these two type things. So they're all just various different kind of age levels kind of the books, but they all still have kind of individual art here. Again, this is also 24 pages, $5.99, came out in the same day, that sort of thing. And again, remember, there is also a full color sticker book. For TMNT, they got an official activity book from Random House. But it also does have stickers, over 50 stickers, but it also has other stuff in it. But it highlights that, again, we're going to get something along these lines also. Specifically on the sticker book, though, we should also note that there is this book coming out in December, which is the Avatar The Last Airbender sticker book, which is not what's being referred to there. The reason for that, obviously, is that this is unrelated to the movie, whereas that's referring to like a tie-in sticker book. So this one's going to have like over 500 stickers. And then there's going to be another one, maybe it will be more like an activity book when it actually comes out, for the Aang movie when it actually comes out. So cool. Obviously, this is not everything. There's going to be lots of tie-in stuff across the board. This is just what Penguin Random House is going to have. So they're going to have this in addition to non-Avatar stuff, where like the Bending Academy chapter book series is going to continue on past the first 2, of course, and who knows what else we're also going to have. So just interesting to get that like initial insight into it. I know for a lot of people these are probably not the books that a lot of people are going to grab. maybe the junior novel, but yeah, I think a lot of people are maybe not going to be maybe super interested in the 8x8, the Step Into Reading, Little Golden Book, or the sticker book, just because unless they choose to name it and describe it as something actually really interesting, it's all probably going to be a little bit more on the basic side of things. Though, what I will say about the sticker book for the movie is that if it does have like 50 or maybe more stickers, that might be the first big compilation of here's all the like the official stock promo art of the movie presented in this sticker book, because unless they do screenshots from the movie, which I think will be a kind of weird thing to do, it probably will be a lot of like promo shots collected together to have enough stickers. So that actually could make the sticker book something quite interesting, just to keep an eye out on. So there's that. And then the last thing for the video I want to talk about here is that we did get preview pages for the baking book, as you can see here, from Edelweiss. So the baking book is out September 30th. It's the second Avatar cookbook we've had after like the one that was just called cookbook. This is, of course, the baking book. So yeah, we previously had like placeholder table of contents. Now we have the final table of contents, and you can see, yeah, it now has the page numbers on it. It's broken down into book 1, book 2, book 3 recipes based on the reference of the name of each kind of food item to the episode it's from. So looks pretty substantial, especially as like a baking book with the amount that there is. Looks like there's going to be over 140 pages in the book, and we'll get into what the actual interior pages look like. So you can see here, going to be a full color image of the actual food item. Then you have the ingredients listing, how to make, that sort of stuff. But also, there is flavor text. So this paragraph here is flavor text. Now, this is where we have to immediately bring up the original cookbook had somewhat interesting flavor text. It was written by the characters. They were talking about making food for each other. And along the way, there were little bits and pieces of new information. Now, of course, the ones everyone talks about are like, oh, May and Azula kind of talk about like talking to each other, and it's set post-series. So like, it's kind of confirming the end of Azula's arc to a certain degree, that she does become friends with them again, potentially. I do think some of that stuff is not intentional, like as in I think they forgot where specifically the book was set, and they just wrote some stuff down and didn't think people would read into it too much, when it actually, the way the book is presented, it actually is meant to be read this way. So I don't tend to read too much into those ones, even though I think it's funny that they're in there. It seems like they've taken the approach with the flavor text in this book to avoid anything along those lines potentially happening, because they are written in a very basic way, to the point where it's like, wow, this almost reads oddly, because it's borderline like not really canonical. It's just here to kind of almost explain the Avatar reference for why we're making a baked goods based on a character, Momo meringues, and it just says, you know, they discovered him at the Southern Air Temple. He made a huge impact. He's been important on their journeys. Plus, who wants to eat a lemur when you can eat these meringues? And it's like, okay, the final line then of just the kind of almost non-canon thing, because I don't think they're trying to say that like Momo meringues is a canonical food item in Avatar. So I definitely read it as these are just non-canon pieces of flavor text where it's just explaining the reference. And that's the way all of these read as we go through. This is just Gyatso, Ki is the gooey center, blasting jelly cakes. This is where it's, I suppose, particularly notable because blasting jelly is like an explosive. And yeah, sure, they reference the joke, the jar for blasting jelly versus the jar for jellied candy. You don't want to mix those two up. But still, you know, it's just that idea. It's just referencing that episode. Unfried dough, of course, Avatar Day. They do the whole clumps, wads of Appa's fur kind of thing here. They just explain the cabbage merchant's bad luck in this one. The Flameos referencing the headband. And none of it reads particularly interesting to me. And that's not me just being dismissive because there's no new information. It's just very, very basic flavor text. Like it's just about considered flavor text, basically, to the point where I bought the original cookbook because the preview pages of the flavor text came across well enough to where I felt there would be something to talk about. I don't think I'm going to be picking this book up because it just does not read like there will be anything of interesting to talk about, because it's not written by any of the characters and it's so basic just explaining the reference that I just don't think there's actually going to be anything in this. So a little bit unfortunate, but the book is still there for anyone out there who's into baking, who wants to maybe get some ideas about fun Avatar things they can bake. The book is there for that, not just the flavor text, of course. But yeah, that book's out in September. And that is the end of the video, basically. So yeah, let me know what your thoughts are. Light it up. We have the cover. What are your expectations for this book now that basically we're waiting for preview pages and the release now in November? I'm excited for it because it just feels so unique and different that, like, we think the Jin novel is going to surprise us with how different it is. But this is completely original characters. Like, we've never heard about these characters before. So that's interesting, and why I'm making a big point of highlighting this, just so as many people know about this as possible, that it is a 100+ page novel that's coming out that I think a lot of people are sleeping on right now. Thoughts on that? Of course, maybe the big piece of news for the video is just some movie information in terms of course, the plan for kind of tie-in media for the Aang movie, of course, here. Which is loading here. I showed you already in the video. And yeah, the preview pages for the baking book. Any thoughts there? But yeah, let me know what your thoughts are on everything in the video. But that's been it. Thanks for watching and bye.